Hi, everybody. Welcome to ASA Live. My name is Cindy Morris. I'm thrilled to have you all back with us again this week. We are talking today with our partners at Western Union. You may remember that we are working with Western Union on a series that provides actionable, practical information on how to minimize risk in all sorts of common real-world scenarios. We have talked during tax season, we talked about what that looks like around taxes. Right now we are in summer, and summer for so many of us gets to mean vacations. And so for today, we are going to be talking about what it means and what we are seeing in vacation rentals, and what fraud looks like in those spaces. As COVID restrictions are lifting, people are making choices about how they want to travel. And depending on how your own kind of comfort levels, you may be choosing to go with hotels, you may be choosing to go with camping, and you may be choosing to go with vacation rentals. And we know that there are increasingly more and more fraud stories coming out of that vacation rental story. To help us assess risk and learn how to stay safe, we are talking today to April Payne, who is a senior analyst from Western Union. So welcome, April. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So happy to be talking about this. We actually, I actually live in an area where a lot of people come to vacation, and we actually just had a situation where one of our local homes here, the homeowner was in fact frauding people. And so this kind of just came out in our local news. Can you talk to us about what is a rental scam? Who might be a target? How does this really impact kind of our aging older adults as well? Kind of, can you talk to us about that? Let's start there.
Yeah, of course. So in this scam tactic, fraudsters will advertise a home online saying that it is available for rent. Their listing is often offered at a much cheaper price than other properties in the area. And the pictures look fantastic. The home offers all the amenities you may be most interested in. That could be, an updated kitchen to cook in, a home with beautiful waterfront views, or just being in a really popular neighborhood that people would like to live in or, stay in. And in reality, though, there is actually not a home available, and the scammers are using phony photos or information in hopes of tricking you out of your hard-earned money. So I guess a good thing to keep in mind is that anyone who would be looking for a rental home could potentially be the victim of a rental scam. So, this could be someone that is looking to rent a beach house for a week, a lake house for a week, a cabin, or it could be someone who's hoping to find a new residence to move into full time. So,
right. That's interesting because this isn't just a vacation rental scheme. This is a rental scheme as well. So this is something that we need to be watching out for at kind of at all levels. And so this is something that we want to think about both for ourselves, but also for people that we might be caring for, right? Because that is something that we need to kind of keep an eye on. How are scammers kind of taking advantage of this summertime to commit rental fraud specifically?
yeah, a great question. Obviously, kind of as you mentioned, summer is a busy time for vacations. And after not being able to travel much in the last year, people are especially eager to plan trips right now. And because of this, rental houses in popular areas are very hard to come by, or they're extremely expensive. And so fraudsters are creating these listings, offering rental homes with, these unbelievable deals. And it's, often we're seeing beachfront properties or, a house that claims to have its own dock and that kind of thing. And these offers are so enticing that people are eager to secure the property and send the money as fast as they can, kind of before pausing to consider the situation.
So it's interesting that we kind of think about that. I know I've been reading a lot about the leisure market booming right now. And I think that it's nice to see people back to that, right? That's kind of the lovely piece of this. But what you're saying, I think, is that if the leisure market is booming, it means that there may be less availability. If there's less availability, it opens us up to the potential scammer to take advantage of that. Um, and so that is also true of the housing market. We know that because the housing market is booming. And so if the housing market is booming, the scammers are going to take advantage of that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Unfortunately.
Right. And so, you know, we at the American Society on Aging are always most concerned with how is this going to be impacting older adults, their caretakers, the people who are working for and on behalf of them. So what is it that we can be specifically doing to protect older adults? What are the warning signs perhaps that we should be looking for? And are perhaps older adults being targeted in some way that's different?
Yeah, of course. So I would say older adults may be at more risk for a few reasons, actually. One being that they're an audience that might be especially actively searching for rental properties right now. Whether that being, like we said, hoping to rent a home for a week-long vacation, or finding a warm place to be a snowbird and live somewhere for the entire winter in a rental home, or even just downsizing and considering moving into a townhouse or a condo. So it's just definitely a group that is searching for rentals right now. And another reason they could be more at risk is because there has been such a boom with online resources and rentals over the last few years. Programs and platforms such as Airbnb and VRBO. And if someone hasn't used these resources before, they just might not be aware of what standard protocol is, what safety measures to take. I know, for example, I'm personally a bargain hunter. So if a homeowner messaged me and offered to cut me a deal if I went and took the conversation outside of the app and, kind of got rid of some of those extra fees you see on the app, I might be inclined to take them up on the offer if I didn't know that that's, unsafe. So it's important to bring awareness to these, safety measures so people will know what red flags to look for. And, if they are hoping to rent a home.
So you're kind of getting into some of those warning signs, right? That idea
Yeah.
that if they're messaging you and saying, let's take this off of the app, let's take this outside of the systems that have been put in place to keep you safe, that's a warning sign. What are some of the other warning signs that we might want to be looking for?
Yeah, good question. So, kind of like I said, the scammers will post a listing online, advertising a property in a desirable area at an incredibly affordable price, and include all kinds of beautiful photos to draw you in. And then when you reach out to inquire about the property, there's always some reason or another the landlord can't show you the listing in person. And the reasons may sound legitimate, but they never really are. And then, of course, they ask you to go ahead and send your deposit or your application fee because they're saying it is a very popular property. And then, of course, the reality is that the price was too good to be true, and the home doesn't actually exist, and the photos were probably stolen. And sometimes the scammer may use a house that really does exist that they have no ties to, but maybe they took the photos from a real estate website and just repurposed them. Or they might just make up a totally phony place, a building that doesn't exist, an address that doesn't exist. And then of course their goal is to disappear with your money. So some of these warning signs that I kind of have called out already a little bit, but having the property listed on an online marketplace such as Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, that alone could be a good indicator. There's just so many available resources now that using those trusted sources that kind of vet the homeowners or the landlords is a good place to start. And then another red flag that I just mentioned was, when someone asks to take the conversation outside of those trusted resources, like Airbnb or VRBO. Staying in the platform is what helps keep both parties safe. So definitely a red flag if someone asks to chat outside of those platforms. And then, of course, when the landlord asks you or requires you to send money urgently, whether that's to hold the property or for an application fee, if you haven't seen the property, you haven't, visited in person, haven't gotten that opportunity, that is a big indicator right there. And of course, one of the main ones here is when the landlord or the homeowner has an excuse not to let you see the home in person. And like I said, a lot of the reasons might sound really legitimate, but they never are. And it, unfortunately, in the last year, with showings and things in person not being as available, it's been giving scammers extra opportunity for reasons not to show the home in person. But usually legitimate properties will offer some kind of video tour or a FaceTime tour. So just definitely be cautious of anyone that won't let you see the home in person. And then finally, just a good one to keep in mind is any poorly written correspondence or advertisements. That usually can just be a good sign right there. So keeping out for looking for that good grammar and correct spelling is always good.
Yeah, are there ways to protect yourself from these scams? I mean, what happens if you've been scammed? So, I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, no, of course. So as far as protecting yourself goes, doing your research, a quick web search can just really save you a lot of time and money sometimes in the long run. And investigating a company that has a property listed on their website. If you're working with an individual, maybe just cross-referencing and seeing if they really are the property owner, and then that they're not just taking those photos and claiming that the home is theirs. And if you're moving to a new city or, going on a vacation in an area that you're not familiar with, asking a friend to drive by or, someone that you trust and make sure the address is real. Scammers often target people that are going to a place they're not familiar with and someone might not have any idea that's a real address. So sometimes just typing that into your web browser and trying to look at the maps and see if it really exists, that can help you right there as well. And just stay informed and protected. We have a lot of great resources at Western Union. We have a great website, woo.com/fraud awareness has a lot of great resources and all this information on there for you to keep in mind. And then actually our Facebook and our Twitter account, our Twitter is Woo Stop Fraud. And we have all kinds of great, fraud awareness tips on there. And just a great rule of thumb in general for anything in your life is just to never ever send money to someone that you have not met in person, no matter the reason. So definitely not for an application fee or a rental deposit. And then if you have been scammed, it's just really important. The best thing you can do is to just report it immediately. Contact whatever company you use to send the money as soon as you realize that you've been scammed. And at Western Union, we have a toll-free fraud hotline that customers can use to contact us. And I would just say, honestly, if you do fall victim to a scam, do not feel embarrassed. Do not drag your feet about reporting it. These scammers are extremely clever, and these online listings that they're creating look incredibly realistic. So, I mean, anyone and everyone could become a victim of a scam. So the most important thing you could do is just report it as soon as you realize what has happened.
Yeah, it's that reporting, right? Because the reporting doesn't just protect you, it also protects other people because you are not the only one they are targeting, right?
Exactly. Yeah. In the case of a real listing, there's only going to be one family or, one tenant that moves in. But in the case of these scams, they can take as many applications, as many phony deposits as they would like to. So you are exactly right. Reporting it helps protect others as well.
Absolutely. So listen, as always, the thing that I always like to end every single one of these ASA lives with is my question of what is the one piece of advice you want to make sure that every single person takes away from this? And so I'm going to ask you that out of everything that we can talk about here, when we talk about, being fraud aware and we talk about rentals, what is the one thing that, because everybody always remembers only one rule. So what's our one rule?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot someone can do to be fraud smart, but I think the biggest takeaway here is, trust your gut. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. If it's that beautiful beach home that can fit your whole family with, wonderful decks and porches and all kinds of space, and it's just a crazy cheap price, there's probably a reason. It probably really is too good to be true. So, trusting your gut and just keeping that in mind will definitely help.
That is very good advice, and probably advice that I should have taken myself at some points in my life. I can't thank you enough for this. I'm going to ask everybody to please share this ASA Live, because the whole idea behind these are that we take this information and we get it out there. We put these on our social media because it is so easily shared. And we want this to be something that gets around to the people who can benefit from it. So we know that advice like this is something that everybody needs, whether you are thinking in terms of a vacation rental, whether you are thinking of this in terms of your housing rental. We know that people need to be really conscious of where they could be targeted, how they can be targeted, and then what to do to avoid it. And most importantly, if you are targeted and you are scammed, how to respond to that. So thank you to our partners at Western Union for doing this with us today. We are really looking forward to the next time that we sit down and we talk about these things, because every time that we come together, we are really looking at how we can really protect older adults and the people who care for them, to really ensure that we are providing practical work together to protect one another. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I hope you all enjoy these summer weekends, and that everybody gets out there and is able to travel again to see family and friends after a year where that has been so difficult. So thank you. Have a wonderful one, everybody. Bye-bye.